I know you see it. Yes, 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 and what? Huh? More yes. This mug is everything. This mug is amazing, and this mug will be available to you very, very soon. Get into it. It's beautiful. See that? Hey, Shannon Ray. Hey, y'all. My name is Shannon Ray, like the mug said. So real quick, I just had a thought while I was getting ready for the day. Do you ever wonder, like, if something were to happen to you and people would try to get clues about your personality, like on Law and Order, SVU, when they're kind of going through people's apartments and they are looking at the pictures and the different ways you decorate your home, what colors you like, what's in your agenda or your date book or your whatever, and they're trying to figure out who you are as a human. What if they were to come across like your playlist? What would they gather from you based on the music that you listen to? I was minding my business when I was listening to my music for the day and Yola came on. Do y'all remember Yola? Yola the Great, or was it Yola the Great? But do y'all remember that song? It's really, really old, but it used to go so far to say is that it would speak to my spirit. I don't know what y'all been, oh, let me not spill. Don't know what y'all been told, but I gotta keep me a big bankroll. No? Huh? Depending on the way you look at it, Yola was actually speaking a word. Follow me. This child of God said, go get yourself together. Go give your brain a bath. Go to church. Start listening. Get on the right path. Huh? Is that not a word to you? Bless me. That king said you study long, you study wrong, you get it in, you get gone, you live fake, you die fake. Okay? It reminds me of a good text that the Lord said he don't like no lukewarm people. He'll spat you. He'll spat you out from his own mouth. Okay? That's in the Bible. All right? So I feel like that young king is this a stretch? Should I stop while I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead, okay? I will also admit that what came next after Yola was Yolanda Adams, and I found myself conflicted. There was, right there, all the way on the playlist, Cardi B and also CeCe Winans. Who am I, really? I'm gonna chalk it up to balance. If it makes you feel any better, okay? I do try to find the cleanest versions of all of those songs that I can find. Essentially, when you're finding a clean version of a Cardi B song, you're really just listening to the beat itself. I probably shouldn't even be listening to Cardi. But when it's up, then it's up. You know what? I'm gonna stop right there. If you are new here, I offer you my sincerest salutations. We come together as a community, okay? A family, if you will. We are just people out here doing our best to pursue purpose, to live our lives, learning from our mistakes and not letting mistakes define us, but rather how we respond to the choices that we make as our actual character. I share stories about my life and the lessons that I've learned in hopes that it can be either encouraging or confirmation or a cautionary tale about yours. I would love to have an exchange. So if you are into that sort of thing, I would highly encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button. You don't want to miss it. And do yourself the favor, okay? Take that extra step and join me on HeyShannonRay.com. Join the mailing list. It is going to be a lot of good things to come in this latter half of the year. I want this to be a community. I want this to be reciprocal. So definitely like and subscribe. Join the mailing list. Leave a comment if you have something that you want to add to the conversation. I would love to hear from you. So listen, I want to talk about something today because I feel like it has been like reverberating in every conversation that I've been having, in sermons I've been listening to, on the TikTok. I've heard it everywhere. Social media, random conversations with friends. It's all coming back. This ideal, this one word, excellence. Today, what I want to talk about is redefining excellence and what that actually means in our lives. So I was watching TikTok and I was listening to this woman who was talking on that video about this woman who had called out the influencers or content creators who were basically following this kind of luxe life, hashtag. They were these Lux Life content creators, like how to have luxury in your life and all of these different things. And she was calling out this one particular content creator because that content creator, or maybe it was a group of content creators that she was calling out because they were still living in an apartment. And I found it really interesting because the person who stitched the video made her points about why she was still living in an apartment. And she did so because she wanted to make sure that anybody else who was living in an apartment or maybe driving a non-luxury vehicle or whatever, that doesn't mean that they're not experiencing luxury in life. It doesn't mean that they don't have a comfortable life. It doesn't make any connotation about success or money, but rather choices. In this particular case, the person who stitched the video and was responding to the video on TikTok was a woman who was in her 50s, but still very mobile, very interested in exploring different cities. She said that she moved every few years so that she can experience different things, expand her network. She's lived in other countries. She doesn't want to have a house tie her down, but she is a financial specialist. She could retire tomorrow if she wanted to. She doesn't work to live, she lives to work, and she has this really interesting life. And I followed her through some of the things that she does, and seemingly she has a pretty interesting life, a pretty full life. And so I loved the point that she made. She didn't have to tell us the reason behind her choices, because someone might really be in a situation that they can't afford a home right now. But what I loved was that luxury is different in the eye of the beholder. And it made me think about the conversations that we are having around excellence. My friends and I talk about this all the time. We talk about my work ethic, if you will. We talk about how they used to look at me and I wonder how I'm just out here living my life, where it didn't seem as though I was working hard, I think in the traditional sense. We're older now, so I think they have a better understanding of kind of where I was. But I always laughed at that because I guess, yeah, you could look at it that way as someone who didn't work hard. But for me, it was always a place where work was for boundaries. My life has never been about the work. My life has been about purpose and about mission. And I think sometimes that shows up differently in different people. I care about the relationships that I make. I care about the work that I submit, but I'm not willing to do that for the sake of my mental health. I'm not willing to do that for the sake of adding more stress. I'm not interested in any promotion at the risk or deterioration of any of the things that I find valuable in my life, my relationships, my time away from work. What happens in my free time is what's real. What happens at work is not. That was until I got into a place where I actually felt like I was working in fields and in jobs that made sense. It's actually no big secret to anyone who really knows me. I've actually had a lot of jobs. And I'm sure on the outside looking in, sometimes as I was growing up through the years, it might appear as if I was just bouncing from thing to thing. It might appear as if I was just kind of blowing in the wind. There was some truth to that. You know, you're in your early 20s and you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. I wasn't one of those people who always knew. I was a talented dancer, so for a while I thought I'd be a dance teacher, and I didn't see much money there. I didn't want to pursue fame because I didn't like what fame was, but I did have enough skills where I thought I could actually make a career as a professional dancer. Then there was a while that I thought, what if I joined something like a financial institution? Boo! Do not recommend. 0 stars. -0 stars. Is that just 0 still? -5 stars. There have been things that have been true about my life from the start. I love storytelling. I love the arts. I love creating things that make the community I live in better. If you look at the trajectory of the jobs and the career that I have now, it all lines up and it all makes sense. And realized then was that as I was leaving jobs, as I was going from thing to thing, it wasn't because it was about the bounce. It was because I was at the cap of the excellence that I could experience there. And I wanted to go learn something new. I wanted to go experience a new industry, and there is nothing wrong with that. So as we were having that conversation and my friends were coming to just how we've realized how we've worked differently and how we've had different careers and how we all have shown up in our excellence in our own ways, it made me want to do this video because it made me want to challenge us to think about what excellence means to us. When I think about excellence, how I define excellence in my life is by what I am giving and what I am receiving. No, you're not going to find me doing extra hours and taking on multiple projects at work if I don't feel like I could show up for it with excellence. What you will find is that I will go above and beyond through my assignment. Above and beyond might look different to you and to me. Above and beyond means maybe I've been tasked with a certain project, but I've looked at it from all of the different ways. I've created rubrics. I've gone from A to Z and then back from Z to A to make sure that what I am producing is the best possible option. That if I'm working with clients, they are having the best possible experience. That if I am engaging with other organizations, that not only do I represent those organizations well, I treat those organizations as if they're my companies when I'm speaking in other rooms. That for me is operating in excellence. But best believe that when it hits the hour that it's time for my day to be done, my day is done. I don't think about what I've left behind. I don't wonder if I've done a good job because I know that I have. I give my very best in the moments that it's required. I give my very best because I appreciate the opportunity, and I give my very best because part of my DNA is to make sure that I am producing something that is impactful. If I think about that in every other aspect of my life, beyond work, beyond what supplies my life, I think about how I carry that out in my relationships. Excellence really starts with yourself. That is your primary relationship. That is the one, you are the one person that you will spend your entire life with. How you treat yourself, how you hold yourself accountable for your actions, how you call yourself out about the things that really are wrong is how you operate in your excellence. When I apply excellence to who I am as a person, I look at it in a few different categories, and I believe I've shared some of this along the way, but I'll reiterate here in case it's helpful. I look at excellence in how I'm carrying out my spiritual relationship. This year, as I began 2022, I did something that I hadn't really done on paper for the first time. I write everything down because I'm a writer at heart, and it helps me to keep myself focused. It helps me align my thoughts. This year, I wrote down spiritual goals. What books of the Bible I wanted to study, how I wanted to incorporate reading. I wrote down those as goals in order for me to measure how I'm growing, in order for me to see the areas that I have felt improvement. I wanted to treat my relationship with God with the same fervor and intensity that I do a career or education or anything else. So I started with spiritual goals for the first time and wrote those down. Secondly, I went into my finances. To be honest with you, finances are something that I've always felt a bit out of depth with, not understanding numbers. But let me tell you something. When you understand and you have the knowledge and you face it head on, it can make things less scary. It can then put you in a position to really understand what your life can be in the places that you do need to sow. I applied what I needed to what I wanted to do physically. What are my physical goals? That to me is living in excellence. Excellence to me is not a destination. It's a cycle. It's a way of life. It's who you show up as. And so in order to do that, the first thing I did was start with the relationship that I had with myself. When I think about defining excellence and redefining it specifically for myself, there were some things that I had to deconstruct. I had to ask myself, whose standard of excellence am I living by? There was a time where I wore weaves, really long weaves that did not match my hair texture. Now don't get it twisted. Your girl was still cute for the time. I was cute for the time. I remember looking back on these pictures, and I would wear these cardigans and these long weaves, and I felt like that was the way I needed to show up in my career. I felt like that was the way I needed to show up in these environments, that I might be the only person who looks like me, at least on my team, or one of the few people who look the way that I do. And I realized that to me, that was how I was going to assimilate. That was how I was going to show that I was worthy of being in those rooms. That was the way that I was going to prove that I can deliver the same thing that everyone else can. I wanted to look the part. But whose standard is that? I recently attended a conference and I picked out professional clothes that I felt comfortable in, but they were in these bright colors, purples and lime greens, yellow, and all of these different things. I didn't think about it at the time, but I remember receiving so many compliments. What I realized that I loved so much about the feedback, the positive feedback that I was getting, was that I didn't need it. Don't get me wrong, it was super nice to hear. Who doesn't love a compliment? But I remember thinking, well, I'm just being me. You would think something as superfluous as what you're wearing wouldn't have that much of an impact. But for me, it was a stage of arrival, having arrived to the truth of who I am and how I want to show up. I like to dress based on my mood. I like to dress based on what feels good. Colors make me happy. Colors help my vibe. And when I look good, I feel good. I feel like the brightness of the clothes carry over into who I am as a person. I don't have to be in pastels and black in order to be a professional. I don't have to show up in this stereotypical attire in order to be excellent. Excellent is being true to me. Who set your standard? Who told you that if you're living in an apartment after the age of 30 that you haven't achieved anything? Maybe you want to focus on debt elimination. That's excellence. Maybe you don't really care about living in a house because you're in the city of your dream. That's your excellence. Redefining excellence means checking the standard. Is it yours or was it assigned to you? It's not too late. You're not behind. You do still have time. It doesn't mean that you get to procrastinate. That doesn't mean that you don't put effort behind the things that you say that you want. You still have to work for it. You still have to believe for it, but you don't have to beat yourself up if you're not where you thought you would be. That doesn't serve anybody. That definitely isn't excellence. And lastly, again, this was supposed to be a short video, not meant to be long, but I wanted to talk about it because it was on my heart. You get to change your mind. One of my most favorite things to do is to look at some of the people whose work I admire. People like Toni Morrison, people like Denzel Washington, all of these great artists. One thing that I found really interesting about them is that there was a pivot. There was a decision that they made to step into the truth of who they had been all along or who they had become. Toni Morrison was in her 40s when she started to write books. Denzel Washington was in his 30s when he decided to act. You are not behind. All of this is a part of the journey. What you are getting from each experience is meant to prepare you for the next. You might have worked in corporate America for the last 15 years and decided to strike out on your own. It doesn't mean that you have wasted your time. It doesn't mean that you weren't excellent then. It doesn't mean that you can't be excellent in something new now. You get to change your mind. I fully subscribe to the notion that you get to change your mind. You get to evolve. You get to be new. You get to try new things. You get to be who you decide you want to be. Make the decision today to be who you actually want to be, to live how you actually want to live. If you're not there now, make an actual plan that you can follow and get to where you want to go. If you are there and it doesn't look right to your family, you're hearing those around you say that this is not what they thought you would be. This is not who they thought you would be with. This is not what they thought you would do. So what? If you are being true to who you are, if you are willing to accept the challenge, if you are willing to do the work, then you get to have the life that you decide that you want. It's up to you. Tell me in the comments down below, how do you define excellence? What is excellence to you? How do you infuse your world with being the best that you can in every aspect of your life? What is your relationship with yourself like? How do you feel about the work that you do every day? How do you feel about the home that you live in? What is it that you want to change? That is the space that you can make for excellence. But do me the favor, set the standard for yourself. Do you for you. Be true to who you are. The only thing we're meant to follow is the word of God. He lives in each of us. If you feel that pull inside to take you in a new direction, go with it. Make that exit strategy and live your best life. We only have this one. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Join my mailing list at heyshannonrae.com and look out for a brand new video next week. Bye, y'all. Big love. Have a great day or night, whenever it is that you're watching this.